So it turns out that I may have had a bug, if you will. Yeah, it's very interesting because I woke up in great shape after having quite a tumultuous evening, from around 3:30 to 4:30 in the morning. But I wound up getting hungry, and let me tell you what I ate first. I had some of my leftover salmon, and my like tomato, garlic, onion sauce was really, really delicious. Had that over 2 eggs with some cheese, and then the rib meat that I cut off left the ribs with some meat and some of that. You know that gray skin or silver skin they call it. That's actually pure collagen, so that's really good for you. And if you can't chew it all, just swallow it whole. It doesn't matter. Your stomach and your intestines will take care of it. There's quite a bit of evidence there where there's things called stoma. So these are people who don't, their digestive system doesn't quite work very well. And depending on which patient and what part of the duodenum or the large intestine doesn't work, they will have holes in their intestines somewhere for the bag. And apparently there's a nurse who knows Dr. Barry. He recounts the story. She said, right at the joinder of the small intestine where it meets the large intestine, there's absolutely zero ever meat product. So whether you eat it raw or cooked in chunks or chew it up till it's gone, meat never hits your large colon. But what she does find, remnants of corn, vegetables, fiber, essentially, because that has to get processed in the colon. So essentially I ate that with obviously the silver skin, the collagen. And then I munched on a couple of chicharrones, and I'm really full. So we ate a little later today. I think we started eating around 3, which gave me 19 hours of fasting, which is great. I am not going to be hungry for tonight, so I'll sleep through. Won't eat breakfast, obviously, and we're going to have carnitas tomorrow, which I make myself. 0 carb, absolutely. And I'm going to make chicken wings because I ordered them. And again, I like to nibble on them for you finish your meal and you're still kind of a little hungry, so you grab a wing or 2 or 8. Doesn't matter. I eat until I'm full, and I'm full, and then I don't eat for a day. And just the weight's dribbling off. I'm doing my exercise, so I'm actually rebuilding my muscle bulk. So at the same time, I'm losing some fat, maybe some old skin, which still isn't like draping off me. I lost 70 pounds within a year, and I have no leftover skin. There's a little bit of, I call it folding, like when it does, oh geez, I don't even think I can't even do it anymore. My goodness. It's not, it's been being used, all right? It was a little more pronounced at first, but my skin is recovering, so I don't need, quote unquote, the skin tucks or anything else. If you do a significant amount of fasting, it's not going to be a problem for you. So that's going to be tomorrow. And back on my story about, I remember in Phoenix, we were constantly catching this thing called rotavirus. And it's essentially the 24-hour stomach flu, so to speak. And I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but like you wake up the next day like somebody just punched you out. You're like, oh, and you're weak, and then they give you the BART, right? The what is it? Bananas, applesauce, and/or apples, rice, and toast, right? To thicken everything back up. And here I am. We had significant. I don't even know what they call it. I mean, it's diarrhea, but sorry, a little poop talk there. And then even today, but I didn't feel like I got hit by anything. If I did have a virus or whatever, my gut biome took care of that and right quick. And so would fasting have taken care of it. I was hungry as normal. I ate, like I told you what I just ate. And people are thinking, you eat that heavy and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm fat adapted. And I know carboholics must have food every 2 to 3 hours, or they feel drained, they feel listless, they feel brain fog, they feel, and then they eat, I feel much better. And then 3 hours later, okay, that constant. And they'll eat several times a day for their entire awake period, which is a total of 6 hours. And finally you fall asleep and your stomach's like, oh, thank God these people gave me a break. And then GERD and the gastric reflux and everything begins. Sorry. But that it doesn't happen to me. And the trick is, I think, because I'm fat adapted, my body had access to fat stores. So I never had this lull in blood sugar or this feeling like somebody had just punched me in the gut or whatever. It just kind of, came and gone. Again, I don't know, maybe I ate something funny, or, maybe it was, again, the chili that I had eaten or whatever. But back in the old days, that would have floored me, like it does most people. If you remember, there was a movie, Kindergarten Cop, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he has to go undercover with a police officer. Well, she is hypoglycemic, so she has to eat like every 2 hours. Well, she winds up eating like one of these, fast, In-N-Out store, sandwiches. Probably been sitting there for 4 weeks, and maybe it's the egg salad, and she could barely talk because she was throwing up, and there's acid everywhere, and your typical quote unquote 24-hour flu bug, stomach flu, and of course then you spring back, the next day. Well, I think you spring back because thankfully you were fasting, and cortisol hits, and that feeling of getting over the stomach flu the next day when you're hungry and you feel good. Okay, that's what I feel every day. That's that fasting protocol that does that for you. So again, I had access to fat stores, and people with typically high insulin don't have the access. And even for the first 3 or 4 days, without, again, the cortisol rush, your body's not used to using fat. So your mitochondria don't really have time to shift over. It takes about a week to 2 weeks for the mitochondria to shift from burning a typical glucose to a fat type, calorie intake. So again, I think that's kind of a saving grace, and since my body's quite capable of using fat and carbs, if I eat any carbs at all, my body just uses it, packs it into my liver for glycogen, puts it into my muscles, and that's the end of it. So I know you can store quite a few grams of carbs in your muscles and liver. And in the fast, of course, it gets broken down and reused and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really good way to go. So anyway, I'll upload this video by 8 o'clock tonight. And again, I won't have eaten by then. And I will go ahead and push through till tomorrow and just eat at dinner on Sunday. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.